Welcome to Recipe Club, where we debate the best way to cook the food you want to eat. My name is Chris Ying. Today, here in the Recipe Clubhouse, we have 3 strictly necessary cookies. First, owner and baker of Baker's Bench, Jennifer Yee. Jen, let's play a little warm-up game here, if you will.
Okay.
F, marry, kill.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oreos.
Oh, okay.
Who did you think? I was going to be like your friends and family. What did you think I was going to go with this?
The three of us.
This is a family show. Yeah, the 3 of us. Me, F, marry, kill, Oreos, Milanos, Biscoff.
Mary Biscoff.
Mm.
I'd kill a Milano.
Mm.
And F an Oreo.
Next, the founder and head chef of LA's Fat and Flour Bakeries, returning to Recipe Club, Nicole Rucker. Nicole, the worst Girl Scout cookie is what?
Oh, man. All of them. Sorry, Girl Scouts. I still purchase them. I'm a big supporter, but they are now no longer good. But back in the day, it was the shortbread. Yes, I was a weirdo.
Was the best or the worst?
Yeah, man. Shortbread was the best back in the day. 90s culture, shortbread, watching Little Women, reading Louisa May Alcott, having shortbread and tea. Oh,
that's most people's answer for worst. What is your answer for worst of them all?
The worst one. Oh, that was my best. Right, I got confused. The worst would be, I think, current selection would be the lemon flavor.
That's probably true.
Be the worst. Yeah.
I think that's probably most people's answer. And finally, co-host of Home Cooking, creator of Song Exploder, musician, composer, a true podcasting icon. Jen is literally realizing where she knows you from right now.
Jen didn't do any research.
Are we seeing this? Jen is flipping out. She's just now realizing.
I was like, how many people have this first name? And then I couldn't. And then
oh my God.
She's only now realizing who she is in the clubhouse with. Hrishikesh Hirway. Hrishi, for a theoretical bonus point, can you complete this lyric?
Oh, God. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Wow.
That's right. There it is. As you can see, we have 3 certifiable cookie monsters here in the clubhouse today. I brought them to debate the best way to make a delectable, shareable cookie for a cookie swap. The theme of this episode. Each of them has prepared a publicly available cookie recipe, or one that will soon be publicly available, and brought the results into the studio where we've all tasted and scored and inspected and poured over them. We're going to tell you all about it, stud, after this quick break. All right, so let's set the table a little bit here for our cookie swap situation. I want to give you a little etymological lesson. Cookie comes from the Dutch word koekje, meaning little cake. But I think we can all agree that a cookie is not simply a little cake. It's a thing unto itself. I'm going to ask you first, Nicole. In the broadest sense, but from your professional experience, can you explain the difference between a cake and a cookie?
Yeah. I think that the difference between a cake and a cookie would be how much liquid is present in the recipe, because the combination of fat plus flour and sugar will create one texture. And then we add a leavening agent, which helps us have air bubbles. But in a cake, all of those things happen, but we add a lot more liquid ingredients, which give it a softer, squishier texture, more plush elements. So I think the defining factor of a cookie would be that it would be shorter, as they say in the industry, than a cake. That being said, we do have Levain Bakery and all these big fat cookie makers out there who are kind of writing a hard line in a way that is blurring the border between cookie and cake.
Oh, interesting.
They're more like scone cookies. And then a scone could be more like a cake. So I don't know. It's 2025. We don't know what we're doing.
Just quick straw poll here. Hrishi, the enlarging of the cookie world to include these big fat Levain style cookies, good or bad for the cookie world?
Good. It's Jen, a big tent.
It's a big tent. We can welcome all cookies. Jen, good or bad for the cookie industry itself, the cookie lovers?
I think I can't eat a Levain cookie. They're too big for me.
I want to give our audience, as we're doing this little rapid fire thing, I want to give the audience a little sense of the kind of cookie people we're dealing with today. So we're going to stick with the rapid fire of this all. I'm going to give you a this versus that, each of you. And I want the audience to know what kind of people we're talking about here.
Yes.
So, Hrishi, with you first. Chewy or crunchy?
I mean, do I have to choose?
Yeah.
Because I would take crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside.
But which one do you prioritize?
Chewy.
Nicole, chewy or crispy crunchy?
Chewy.
Chewy.
Hrishi, chocolate chips or chocolate chunks?
Chocolate chunks.
Nicole?
Oh, this is like F, marry, kill. It's going to be chunks.
Jen?
Chunks.
3 chunks.
Yeah.
I know the answer to this one because it's apparent from the cookies you've brought, but I want the people to know. Hrishi, nuts, nut-free or with nuts?
Well, I was allergic to nuts as a kid.
Oh, you've overcome this allergy?
I've overcome my nut allergy. So I'm excited about nuts in cookies now because it was a thing, it was a thing I couldn't have.
Yeah.
But I certainly appreciate cookies without nuts.
It was a little forbidden fruit before. But
There's a souciance.
if you could only have one, nuts or no nuts for the rest of your life. This is interesting because it could be if every cookie for the rest of your life had nuts in it or had no nuts, which one would you go with?
Can I change the nuts?
Yeah, you can change whatever nut you want. Any nuts you want.
Then with nuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nicole?
No. No nuts.
No nuts. Okay. Jen?
Nuts.
Nuts. Every
Yeah.
cookie for the rest of your life. Nuts.
Every cookie, Jen. Every cookie has nuts in
Every cookie
it.
has nuts in it. Your Oreo
Yeah.
cookie, they just put a peanut in there.
I don't even like Oreos that much. So that would be fine with me.
Final rapid fire, Hrishi, what is the ideal diameter of a cookie? Let's say a chocolate chip cookie.
I mean, I would say Nicole's cookie right there is pretty ideal.
Well, Nicole, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a 3.5 or?
It's like 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your platonic ideal?
I think so. Yeah,
The
that's a
3.5 inch
good. It's
cookie?
like any bigger, it gets kind of crazy. It's like a carnival.
Mm-hmm. It's a novelty cookie.
Yeah, but that being said, I don't want to knock small diameter cookies. I'm not sizist in that way, and it depends on what they're bringing to the table.
Okay.
I
How
will
small?
say-
How small is too small?
No, have you had those little mini cookies that come in like trail mix at Trader Joe's? That's great. There is no size too small in cookie world. Other things, possibly cookies, all sizes except for too big. That's too much.
This tent is huge.
Yeah,
Hrishi,
it
what
is.
were you gonna
This is the
say?
problem with cookies.
I was going to say the one thing that I mean, I know I'm jumping the gun, but for like the diameter of the cookie that I made, one of the things that I was thinking about, I don't think that I could achieve that diameter if I wanted to, but one of the reasons why I like this size is for dunkability.
Oh.
I don't know if we're going to get into that.
Glass diameter for your milk dunking. Very
But
interesting.
why
Otherwise, you
wouldn't
have
you
to-
just break it in half?
Then you have to break it in half, which you can do, but I like the idea of not breaking it in half so that you have the crispy surface tension as opposed to the like opening it up to the thing first
Yeah.
on first bite and then later for the second dunk.
Is
Then
your Oreo the ideal
Oh, smart.
size?
I hate Oreos.
Oh, that's okay. They're not
Hrishi
going to come after
hates
you.
Oreos.
They're not this Church of Scientology. They're not going to come after you.
Have you seen the pattern on them? Maybe.
Oh my
There's messages. It's like
Is this a new spin-off podcast where we just talk about cookies?
Conspiracy
I
cookies.
just want to be there.
Jen, what is your ideal diameter?
Okay, I think this is hard to answer because I feel like if you have a business and you're trying to sell them, you can't go too small.
It's true.
You can?
You can't. Or you can go too small.
Unless
Then
they're in
you're
a
like,
bag.
am I going to freaking scoop 300 cookies? Or am I going to make the,
All right, but from an eating perspective, what do you want to eat?
No,
Oh.
I think also from a customer perspective,
Yeah.
you also want to go in and there be like, oh, I'm paying a lot of money for this cookie. It's got some
Yeah,
size
I
to
don't
it.
want to pay $3.75 for a tiny cookie.
But what
Yeah.
about like a beautiful bagged cookie with
Now,
that
I
has
will-
like a bag of cookies.
Now, I will spend $37 on a bag of 10 of them.
Exactly.
So maybe, Jen, you're just looking at
gonna
this wrong.
Yeah.
Lots of small cookies. But from an eating perspective, what?
I like 4 or 5 inches.
Okay. It's like a pretty big cookie.
Yeah.
There are a billion recipes when you Google cookie recipe. Everything from no-bake oatmeal cookies to cowboy. Real quick, what do you feel about no-bake cookies?
Why wouldn't you bake it?
Honestly, what do you have? Like, what is, I fundamentally don't understand why you wouldn't bake a cookie. Like somebody,
Maybe you don't have an oven, just buy a cookie.
but is there like a dietary restriction that's like, I can't have cooked cookies? Like that makes
No,
sense.
I
guess
think
if
it's
you're
more just
raw-
access.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, so there's a no-bake cookie called a preacher cookie.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea, the name, I think, came from, you'd see the preacher down the road. The preacher was coming. So you had to make something quick to welcome the preacher in. And you have to do it, you have to whip something up in, 15 minutes.
I see.
There's no time to bake a thing, but here's the little treat you can make.
I see. My preacher cookie is like, close the doors.
Yeah.
We're not home. Get the out of here.
Put the satanic star on the door
Put
and
the
be like,
satanic
"Yeah,
star.
not here, not today.
Specifically, we're talking about a cookie swap. So this is usually a holiday season event where, if you don't know, people get together, everybody brings their own cookies, your friends come over, you bring this tray in, everybody puts their cookies in a bowl, you take one out, you go home with whichever cookie you pulled out.
That's a key party. That's not a
I don't
cookie
think
swap,
that's
bro.
The joke worked better on my page because I abbreviated cookies to just keys. So it's a keys party. No, everybody takes whatever cookie they want. You take as many as you want. You fill your little Tupperware, your bag or whatever, and you go home. Again, this is a holiday thing, but we're trying to get this to take off year round. So I want to talk specifically about the parameters for what a good cookie swap cookie might be. So first question, if you're going to a cookie swap situation, it's a little bit like a potluck. Are you aiming to crowd please? This is going to be the one that everyone's going to like. This is universally loved. Or are you trying to stand out?
Stand out.
You want to stand out.
Yeah.
I can see that from your cookie.
Yeah, seriously.
Nicole?
I think I like to be the more understated winner and just like bring like a really amazing cookie that might not be flashy. And then everyone's talking about it. Like, who made that? And then they point at me and then I'm like, it's nothing.
This whole thing.
It's not much.
This whole thing.
It's just a chocolate chip cookie. It's not that.
Hrishi, I'm not going to ask the two bakery owners this question because I think that they might have some bias, but can you ever bring a store-bought cookie to a cookie swap?
So one, I've never been to a cookie swap.
Criminal.
You up now?
Until now.
Wow.
The closest thing that I've come to a cookie swap is having a cookie party, that I had for my birthday, where I told everybody, bring your favorite cookie, store-bought.
Oh, okay.
And so there was sort of like a cookie off, but nobody had to bring their skills because, I, until now, never really mingled with actual bakers.
I've never been to a cookie swap.
I don't get invited to those types of
Yeah,
parties.
I don't get invited to these types
Well, welcome to my cookie swap.
Yeah.
I hope you put your keys in the bowl. Let's talk about effort and quantity, because a cookie swap, you're making enough cookies to go around. Like, it's a pretty big batch of cookies. I will ask the two bakery owners here, what is the single most annoying cookie to make from a labor and fidgety handiwork type of situation?
Iced cutout cookies with like royal icing on them. They don't even taste that good either.
Yeah. But you got to like decorate each one.
Yeah, but like
individually.
everyone feels they place, because they're pretty. They're fakers. they're fine. It's just everyone wants them because they're cute, but then like they last forever. So what's the point? Like, I want to eat it, and it's never that good. You eat like half of one, and you're like, oh yeah, this is fine. But like hard royal icing on shortbread, there's better options.
You eat like one bite and you're like, I know what I'm getting for the rest of this cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very interested.
And the icing, even though it's multicolored and beautiful, tastes the same, exact same.
It
Nothing tastes
always
different.
tastes the same.
Yeah. What about like a sandwich cookie? Are those annoying to make where you got to fill it and do the whole decorative thing that way, or is that less annoying?
I mean, you do have to make twice as many cookies.
Yeah, they're annoying, but they're fun.
They're impactful.
Yeah.
Impactful.
Yes, because they're
They're
good.
worth it.
Yeah, they are worth it. Yeah, because they deliver. Also, you know what's good about a sandwich cookie is that they're either rollable or stackable, and they're not going to get messed up.
Oh, interesting. Because this is my other question: is like the sort of portability of the cookie. Does it travel well? Does it fall apart and crumble?
Yeah.
Does it eat well? Is important to the cookie swap.
Like a crinkle cookie seems like it would be good for a cookie swap, but just know when you put the powdered sugared crinkle cookie in the box, that stuff's going to be on every cookie.
We have set the table for our cookie swap. It is now time to move into our recipe reports. Each of our 3 Recipe Club members, as I said earlier, has chosen a publicly available recipe for a cookie. They've taken it for a spin. They've brought the results here. This week's recipes come directly from the New York Times, kind of. Jacques Torres, a.k.a. Mr. Chocolate.
Ooh.
Hot.
And Jennifer Yee herself, your own cookie recipe. Hrishi, Nicole, and Jen brought the results here. They're all, if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, you can see them laid before our club members here. I'm going to start up with our Recipe Club vet, Nicole Rucker. You chose a recipe from Jacques Torres.
Yes.
For a chocolate chip cookie.
Yes.
Why did you pick this recipe? And tell us all about it.
I picked this recipe because it is the turning point in cookie culture. In, I believe, 2006, when this cookie became famous, it created a shift in cookie vibe that was just really, I'm being so freaking serious right now and you're laughing at me, but this cookie changed cookie culture.
I am not laughing. I am enjoying the heck out of this.
It was like one of the first viral recipes before we had that for a couple of reasons. One, everyone was talking about how the dough had to be aged for 1 to 3 days. And so it was like the first time that people realized there was more to cookies than just the Toll House recipe and making them right away. And that all of our mothers didn't love us enough because they weren't aging cookie dough. Second,
I didn't realize it until this cookie
it was love.
recipe came
They
out.
hated you.
Yeah.
The second thing is that it also gave like pastry chefs a reason to be like, yeah, well, I always age my cookie dough. Like, what do you think we've been doing all these years? Like, then we got to feel important, underpaid and important. And then
The 2 lethal combinations for a good worker.
just inflated ego and so poor. We got to have something to talk
Underpaid
about.
and self-important. That is the
Yeah.
recipe for a great worker. Yes.
That's a good cookie too. And then, there's so many layers to this cookie that why it was important. And so another reason was that it was one of the first times that you saw either chopped chocolate or chocolate fèves or coins in a recipe where we had only had chips previously because Nestle Toll House chips and other chocolate chips were like the chocolate for cookies up until then, right? And then Mr. Chocolate, hottest name in the cookie empire, was like, let's put this fancy chocolate, which is couverture, and not chocolate chips, which are coated with something that makes them stay their own shape, right?
And it just like was like more respect for the cookie in that sense. Like, let's put something nice in
Yeah,
there.
I mean, he was making like definitely, it was like the first like luxury cookie, I feel like, on the market. And then this guy has to gild the lily and put Malden salt on top of it, which exploded people's brains and it raised the blood pressure of the entire country because we started putting salt on literally every cookie. I mean, it was a game changer of a recipe I had never made. I'd never made it. And I thought, it's a good excuse to see. Because as a pastry chef, and Jen will probably attest to this, you look at those recipes and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. It's a ratio. Yes, salt is good. Yes, using couverture instead of using chips, great move. Like, has a high percentage of cacao in it. He calls for 70 or 72 or something like that. So there's like all these things about it that you're like, oh yeah, this is a quality recipe and I get it. But then people started to make that recipe and be like, oh, I age my cookie dough. And you're like, okay, people are finally giving us the respect that we have needed.
Right. And like maybe those things have become sort of, or they already were, or they become more well-known de rigueur, but like somebody had to do it first and he had to sort of put like the flag in the ground.
Yeah.
And I like that you chose this because I also, just for people who think that Jacques Torres is the other guy on Nailed It and like that's it. Like He's
Never seen Nailed It. Is he
much
on it?
more than this.
He's so much more. Oh my God.
I
Very
don't even know
important.
that reference for him.
Yeah, I've never seen Nailed It.
Very
Sorry.
important chef. Most people out there, I think, only know from Nailed It.
Oh,
I also though want to give a little credit to. I mean, we're stepping on Toll House a little, but did you know? What is the person's name? Somebody's name. Somebody who invented the chocolate chip cookie. It was
Yeah.
invented at the Toll House Inn
Yeah.
in Whitman, Massachusetts.
Well, that's
prior
what
to
they
that.
like to say. That it was in 1938, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on her name, but yes, I just wrote about her in my next book, and it's there. They credit her with being the inventor of the chocolate chip cookie.
Ruth Wakefield.
Ruth Wakefield, thank you. Yeah, that is exactly her name. But it actually, and she said she like made it by accident. But then Stella Parks will go into detail saying that there's mentions of chocolate chip chunks of chocolate in cookies before that, like much earlier. But the
like ancient
difference,
Sumeria.
the difference is this is like the first recorded recipe for chocolate chip cookies, and it's a shortbread. It's more like the viral Alison Roman chocolate chip cookie, which was like a shortbread cookie.
You are a
I'm such a
freaking
nerd. I love talking about
cookie
cookies so much.
historian. Okay, so the recipe itself, some sort of highlights for this: a decent amount of leavening, more than I think other cookie recipes. A combination of cake flour and bread flour. Give me the lowdown on the blend.
Yeah. So when I look at this recipe, I see a lot of technique, and some of it I like to be like, that's so pointless. But then I'm like, I'm going to make it and see if it stacks up. And it's a good cookie. The texture of it's really nice. So he uses bread flour and cake flour. I'm not very good at math, so I'm wondering if you could just use AP flour and get the same thing. Percentage-wise of protein is the difference between bread flour and cake flour. Cake flour is very low protein. Bread flour is the highest protein. AP flour is the happy middle. So I don't know why Jacques had to go. I mean, he was flexing. He was stunting so hard in this recipe,
Yeah.
which he needed to because he needed to give the pastry chefs respect. So he does bread flour and pastry flour. And it does make an interesting crumb, I will say that. There's also baking soda and baking powder. Weird because chocolate chip cookies usually only have baking soda in them.
Yes.
But he does both, which is a lot. It has a higher flour percentage, which I guess later on in cookie culture, we would start to take flour out of cookies and then we would get like pan bang and like more lacy cookies. But this is like that perfect, like big bakery cookie from the early 2000s and the good chocolate.
So you took this recipe for a spin.
I made it exactly as written.
Before I get into the comments from your fellow competitors, like, what did you think?
I think it's very good, and I think that I might want to make a version of it for my bakery because I miss this texture of cookie. We've gone so deep into like super fatty, thin cookies, and then we have the two polar opposites. We have the big fat cookie culture, and then we have the really thin, like
Cracker cookie,
dark
basically.
brown sugar. They're not cracker, but they're like very chewy and dark colored. I don't know. Something about this is like cool nostalgia.
Maybe not cracker. I think of that texture. I think you were talking about the super thin one is almost like a weird toffee. Like
Yeah,
it's
very
like stuck
toffee
in
forward.
your
like those lacy
teeth.
ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought, I mean, to your point, I thought the texture was great. It is that happy medium. I think Hrishi, you were talking about at the beginning. It's like it's crisp and then it's chewy. Like you get that nice sort of mix. I thought it was beautiful. Like you use the discs, but you also have these like little flecks. It's almost like a little jungle cat pattern on the outside of this cookie. The salt thing has become so ubiquitous in cookies, but I think it works super well here. I think that people will unnecessarily throw salt onto every single cookie, but it's very, very nice. You guys were all chunk people. I'm a chip man.
It's fine.
I'm a little chip man. Let's see. What else do people say? Jen, nice chocolate distribution throughout.
Yeah, like if you look at it, there's like layers of dough and chocolate throughout the whole thing. And I like
It's
that.
not just like a chunk of chocolate
Yes.
and then a piece of unchocolated cookie. Crispy edges, soft center. You like chocolate that isn't quite as dark.
Yeah. I just like sweet chocolate.
So
sweet
do
food.
I. You were wondering if it was vegan. It is not.
No.
Hrishi, so much chocolate, giant fields of chocolate. You're a fan of the chocolate. Perfect crispiness. You could eat 10 easily.
Wow.
You can what?
I could eat 10.
Oh.
I didn't realize this was the Jacques Torres cookie, but and I didn't know the history of that cookie and what it did at a cultural level, but at a personal level, I experienced that. This was my cookie awakening cookie.
Wow.
So I didn't. So now, like when you said that was the recipe, I had a moment of like, oh my God, I'm in a room with. This was like my cookie awakening. You know, I love cookies, and first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be here in a room that I absolutely did not belong to be.
Come on, come on.
You know, this is Chris. He's like,
The man has a newsletter called Accept Cookies. You're a cookie professional too.
I am a fan. You're basically, you were like, hey, you love basketball. Do you want to come try and dunk a basketball? Yeah, great. That sounds awesome, Chris. I'll do that. And you're like, cool. The other people are Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins, and and we're just gonna see how the three of you do.
I mean, it is not exaggeration. I did reveal layer by layer to Hrishi as I was texting him, like, you want to come on Recipe Club? Oh, yeah, sure. It's cookies. Okay.
Amazing.
There are two professional bakers who will be also baking with you.
So unfair, incredibly unfair. But a great day for me because I get to eat cookies. So, but as a fan of cookies, I have tried very hard to make my cookie fandom part of my identity, which is why my newsletter is called Accept Cookies. I would
Is
like
it accept cookies?
Accept.
Accept.
No.
Accept.
Accept cookies.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Receive.
Yeah.
It is bring me cookies,
Yeah.
Yes.
not everything except for cookies.
You're gonna get so many cookie packages after this.
Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. From your mouth to all cookie makers' ears.
Cookie gods.
Anyway, so I think that so much of my sense of what I want from a cookie came from that Jacques Torres cookie. I used to do a thing where when I would go on tour playing shows, I'm not used to, I still do this. I will get on social media and be like, hey, I'm in this city. Where's the best cookie? And then, you know, because you have like 4 hours to kill between sound check and the show, or you're just in town for one day. But this gives you a sort of, or would give me like a little itinerary to explore the city, a cookie itinerary, and then try different things. And I remember years ago doing this in New York, and I went to the Jacques Torres bakery, and I was like, this is unbelievable. And I've gone to New York many times and, you know, done this. To me, it's still the top. It's still the top cookie in New York. And yeah, it's imprinted on my brain. All of my thoughts on cookies are influenced by this cookie.
It's so perfect that it feels like not a home cookie. Is it too? He was wondering if too professional is a criticism. I don't think so.
I mean, I will have to say, I made it. I got off of an airplane last night and went from the airport, DoorDashed the ingredients to my house, and made the cookie at like 10 p.m. last night with a hand mixer, not a stand mixer, creaming butter and sugar. And I was like, I have not done this home style cookie making in so long, especially not with a hand mixer. And I was just like, it was very home. But like the recipe, it's because the ratio is very good. Yeah. So it's a perfect recipe because obviously it was tested. I do have to say, I think that the amounts of the ingredients are very annoying because it's like 2 cups minus 2 tablespoons. That drives me insane.
Yeah.
But the precision, I appreciate.
Yeah, that is a little more. I mean, like, in other
should
words,
be
like
in grams.
made by weight, right?
Yeah.
Hrishi, you did have 2 good questions here. So this texture, you didn't pan bang this, which
No.
we'll get into in a second. Did you press them? How do you achieve this sort of size and shape of cookie? Like, what does it look like before you bake it?
It looks like he calls out golf ball size dough balls that get aged for 1 to 3 days. So I aged it a little bit under 1 because I had to make them this afternoon. And I didn't do anything but put the balls of dough on the sheet pan. The reason you get the shape and the texture is because of the ratio between the fat and the brown sugar and the white sugar. Because the white sugar is the spreader and the brown sugar is the moisture aspect and the
Not to
caramelization.
profile sugars by their color or anything here.
I mean-
that's not, you didn't hear from me. Oh boy.
And then it has like the baking soda and the baking powder for a reason because those two are going to react differently. The baking soda is going to react with the brown sugar. The baking powder is going to react with the heat of the oven. So like Jacques knows what he's doing.
Jacques knows.
He knows.
He knows.
Jack knows.
A little Jackie.
Little Jackie Toto. Well, that is our first recipe. We're going to get to the next two after this very important break. Our second recipe for this cookie swap, Hrishikesh Hirway, you chose the brown butter chocolate chip coconut pecan cookie. Originally not a coconut pecan cookie, a brown butter chocolate chip cookie from Millie Peartree in the New York Times. This was not your first choice of cookie.
I had another idea. This was round two. I tried something else, but it was too. It wasn't competition ready. It wasn't going to meet the standards. I actually originally was going to do the triple oatmeal cookie from Stella Parks from Brave Tart, but it felt too much like a granola bar or something. It's a recipe that I've made before, but I hadn't made it in a while. And what came out, I also was going to try and secretly make it vegan, and then see if anybody noticed. So I did that, and they turned out nice, tasty, but just not. I knew it wasn't going to cut it for this. They weren't in the cookie paradigm enough. They were a little too in a kind of cookie
More a bar
granola
than a
bar.
cookie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hybrid. So I was like, I'm going to go more straight down the middle with a chocolate chip cookie.
You also said strategically, you thought maybe if you went chocolate chip, you thought once you found out that your competitors were going to be professional bakers, that maybe they would try to go highbrow,
Yes.
and you would sneak in with the populist vote.
Exactly.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah. But I also didn't go straight down the middle because I didn't just make chocolate chip because I knew that I had to do, well, one, this is actually the way that I like it with some coconut in it. And I like the pecans in there as well. So I modified the recipe a fair amount.
So otherwise, it is, take us through the steps here. It's basically you brown butter. That is the sort of key to this thing.
Yep.
You let that cool. You don't, because you've made brown butter, you're not using the creaming method. Am I saying this correctly, bakers?
Yeah. Creaming method. Yes.
How do you make this cookie, Hrishi?
Yeah. After that, you just have to whisk it because the butter's already liquid. So you whisk all the wet ingredients, and then I changed the flour ratio a little bit. I didn't just do I think the recipe's all-purpose flour, and I changed it to have some bread flour as well. And and so then you go dry ingredients.
There is an optional cinnamon addition that Millie suggested you opt in or out on cinnamon.
I did, yeah. And I did a couple other things that I don't even know if I remember to mention, but hearing what you were saying about the leavening, and this might have been a mistake, but I'm still kind of inexperienced with the oven that we have in the place where I've been living. I haven't done a lot of baking. This is only maybe the third, if you include the cookies that I made first that were a failure. This is the third time I've baked cookies in the oven. And my experience has been that like it takes a little bit longer, and also things like just haven't risen quite as well as I wanted. So I added a little bit of molasses also. I did a baking soda baking powder combo and added some molasses, and I think they ended up being a little bit, they didn't spread quite as much. They're a little moundier because of that.
I applaud. I want to say this. You're not a professional baker like these two. I truly applaud the spirit of just like, maybe a little molasses in here. That'll do something. I'll put some different flour in. Because like, honestly, I think a lot of people would try to just screw around with proportions and ratios and things in a baked good and end up with just something, a monstrosity, which you like most certainly have not created a monstrosity here. Speaking of the rotundness of your cookie, let's call it this. This is a pan banging recipe. So it's, I don't know what, like, cookie historian, when did the pan banging happen? When did this become a thing?
It was like was it 2010 or 2012?
I was gonna say 2013, but I could be wrong.
Around past, yeah. And Sarah Kiefer.
Oh, amazing.
I know. It's great, isn't it? I love cookies. Sarah Kiefer did the pan bang recipe, which is a high fat ratio cookie with a very low amount of flour. And then I think there's a lot of sugar in these recipes, and you like take it out and you smack it on the counter, and everybody was crazy for smacking stuff back then.
So the
And then
cookies
they're like
come out.
gooey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while the cookies are still hot out of the oven, they're still very loosey goosey.
Yeah.
Bang it on the counter to sort of spread it and
They're like the
flatten it, right?
Sharpay of cookies.
It's like the Sharpay of cookies.
Yeah.
In what way is it like a Sharpay?
Like a
because it's
Sharpay's
wrinkled.
face.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay.
Wrinkly faces.
I forgot about a Sharpay face. I think I was thinking about a Maltese. And I
I
was
thought
like,
you were
and
talking about Sharpies, like a fancy way to say Sharpie.
Hey, I just
Well,
appreciate that you were even more lost than I was.
No, but I am going to start calling Sharpies Sharpays.
Yes.
now.
We actually need a sharp. We should make those.
A Sharpay.
Yeah. With
Does
an
anybody have a
accent.
Sharpay?
Yeah.
So my question, Hrishi, did you bang the pan?
So I'm not a fan of pen bang cookies. I think they're too flat and too crinkly and they don't often have enough structural integrity for my
What do you feel
taste.
about Sharpays?
They're fine. Similarly, I'm like, yeah, that face doesn't have enough structural integrity. So my plan was originally to not pan bang, which you're supposed to do, I think, halfway through. I didn't, and then I peaked on my cookies, and I was like, they're too rotund. And so at like minute 11, I was like, maybe I should try pan banging these and see if it does anything. And it did. It did improve their shape. It flattened them out a tiny bit, but
Oh, so they were even more rotund.
They were.
They were like a fertility doll before, just like a very voluptuous, curvy
Wait, the
thing.
coconut is. You added the coconut to the recipe. It wasn't intentional.
No, I mean,
No, I mean
intentional.
It was intentional,
wasn't an
but
accident.
it's not part of the
no.
original recipe.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
The rotundness does happen when you add coconut
Oh.
because it's
Happens to me
it
too,
soaks
physically.
up.
It just
It
dries
like
it up.
soaks up.
Yeah, it just dries it
It's
up.
very proteiny, so it soaks up a lot of, and so then it wouldn't spread as much because it's like the mushroom of the baking
Interesting.
world,
See, I reduced the
soaking
flour.
up all the fat.
I reduced the flour to like account for the coconut, but maybe I needed to reduce it more.
I mean, I think it's a delicious cookie.
Today's reason for watching this episode and not just listening is Jen's expressions today have been she was trying to understand whether Hrishi's newsletter was ACC accept or EXC accept, and she was like accept or accept, and then she just had like a motion for the coconut soaks it up.
It really does, though. It just soaks it up.
Pantomiming these things. Okay, so some of the comments here. I mean, Hrishi, I think this. I really thought the texture of this cookie, even if it was rotund, was exceptional. It was that crispy, chewy thing. Again, a nice use of the salt. I think the brown butter. Brown butter is another thing that is like I think very trendy, on trend in sort of baked goods. But I think in this case, like it really does make the cookie feel more full. Makes it feel like more, just more as a cookie.
More was my strategy with this. I was trying to, in order to try and just like compete at all, I had a sort of MLB management, no salary cap approach to recruiting ingredients. I was
You just
like,
moneyballed this cookie.
yeah, I was like, I have to throw everything I can at it.
You're like Shohei.
Yes.
No, he was just. You were just like, what do we got? Who's in the minors? What we can throw into this cookie?
I was like, brown butter, bring it in. Yeah.
Is brown butter part of the original recipe
Yeah.
also?
Well, I went when I switched my recipes. I was like, I'm gonna have to do a brown butter thing. So I sought out a brown butter recipe.
Can I get a clarification? Was the recipe you chose supposed to be like this was supposed to be a sheet?
They have
Banger, you're pantomiming again. We're an audio medium, Jen.
Yeah,
You're
they-
she's
a
banging a
banger.
pan, people.
Yeah, a banger.
I don't think it's not supposed to be like the original pan bang cookie of like that
Okay.
thin and ripply thing, but it did recommend the recipe did call for banging the pan halfway through,
Okay.
I just
or not halfway through, somewhere in there.
just a tangent. I don't understand pan bang cookies because can't you just shape a flatter cookie before you bake it instead of going in the oven and touching all these hot trays and banging them. And then like sometimes your parchment flies up and then your cookies get destroyed because you bang it too hard.
Also
People do
not
bang
energy
too
efficient.
hard. No.
People do bang too hard. What would I put on TikTok then? If I didn't bang the cookie, there'd be nothing to show, right? Could I just squish them?
Yeah.
This question
I
also
was
versus-
asking about the
cookie
shape of the
squish.
dough
Yeah.
on the Jacques Torres. I was like, what is that? Because I had also, just balls before I went in. I like rested my dough in the ball shape. But then because I'm not a fan of the pan bang cookie, I've never done it before. So I've got to imagine that my actual pan banging technique was horrendous.
I would like to posit a theory
Oh, please.
about the pan bangs. There is a texture thing that happens because of the leavening creating air. And so if you shaped it differently, you would still
still have
have the air pockets. But the defining characteristic, I sound like a doctor,
Kind
of
of.
a PhD, a cookie scientist. The characteristic of the pan bang is that there's no air. It is flat. It's not flat. It's flat and wrinkly, and all of the air pockets halfway through are collapsed. So we're really getting like a striation.
But this would also
happening.
still work with my theoretical squishing technique, which I
No,
do
it
employ.
wouldn't.
You can't just squish the air out
Well, you mean after it's baked?
halfway through. I squish my cookies halfway
Oh,
through.
okay. Then you bake them some more so they
Yeah.
rise a little bit. Yeah, I've done that before when somebody messed up the recipe.
I mess up my recipes quite a bit. I love coconut, and then I don't like coconut. I don't know what I feel about coconut. Was my only
Did
criticism.
you notice the coconut?
I did, and I like it here. It wasn't a real criticism. It's just say sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't, and I liked it here.
I
feel
didn't
like
notice the coconut, but
Yeah,
I
feel
really
like
liked
coconut
it.
could be. I thought I could sneak that in. I didn't put it in the name of the recipe because I thought I didn't want to call attention to it because I think it's a thing that I've had cookies that I've really enjoyed and then looked at the ingredients and then seen coconut and been like, I really like coconut. I really like this cookie. I didn't know that there was coconut in there.
For me, it's more of a textural thing than a taste thing, I think. Jen, you thought it was a nice crumbly texture. You were wondering about the flour. Little bread, little AP.
Yeah.
Looks cute. You
Yeah.
thought it was a cute
I
cookie.
like it. It's cute.
You would, it's a little too sweet for you.
A little bit too sweet for me.
More nuts.
Yes.
But of course, we know from our rapid fire that you would like a nut in every cookie possible.
It's good texture.
I would have gone darker with the chocolate if I could have, but my grocery store only went up to 63%.
That's my preferred. I like a 60s, low 60s.
But I also, this might be where I ruined it, where I lost you. I did 3/4, of the chocolate at 60%, and then I threw in some 46 semi-sweet, just to, in case somebody was like, I like it sweeter. You get a little different,
Wow.
differentiation. And
You were just spending at the store.
This is a New York Times comment section. I made this cookie, but I changed everything.
This recipe sucks. I changed everything,
Yeah.
but it sucks.
I didn't have anything, so I
So I
bought
actually
nothing.
just did, and then tuna went in there.
Yeah, exactly.
is that a thing that New York Times commenters do?
Yeah, they
So
say
I
they
am that
say
person.
no. I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it's working. But a lot of times the comment section is, there's the Instagram devoted to this. The comment section is like, I made these cookies and they were terrible. I didn't have butter, so instead I used lard. And then I added applesauce because I didn't have any eggs, and then it's just like, yeah, you
And
made
they're like,
shit.
this Nicole Rucker's a hack.
Yes, and she sucks.
Nicole, great buttery flavor, good chocolate ratio. You like pecans better than walnuts. Zero criticism. It's cookies. It will cause an issue finding fault. You could possibly eat these too fast. Those are your criticisms. Very good cookie. Did you rest the dough before baking was the question.
I did.
Aging, we say sometimes in the
Whatever.
industry.
I call it sandbagging.
Sandbagging?
Are you, just because you can't, production wise, you're not going to scoop to order or like make and then all want chill. You got to make a bunch.
Only
freeze
idiots
it.
do that.
Yeah.
I call it sleeping.
I've never done that.
Sleeping, resting.
Yeah,
the deficient.
my wife was like, where's the cookie? I was like, oh, they're sleeping.
They're sleeping. They're taking a little nap.
No, I thought you were sleeping, and then you were like, "I'm going to take a nap," and then
When Cookie sleeps, I sleep.
Yeah.
Like new parents.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on to our third and final recipe. I also just want to applaud this group for letting so many balls and banging comments go through without swinging at any of them. This is not the recipe club I know, and I'm here for it.
I just choose to ignore, like hoping that
She's pure of heart.
yeah.
I tried
That
very
couldn't
hard to
have
fit in
been.
with Recipe Club by bringing in 2 sports metaphors.
I know. I saw them. I was like,
Jen's a sports fan.
I matched you with the Shohei.
Yeah.
You got the show.
No, I'm saying I normally would not.
Oh.
I'm trying hard to fit in
He's trying
in every way.
You saw us and you said sports.
Hrishi just
tell
got on
us-
ChatGPT, was like, sports references that could be applied to cookies.
Can you tell us, Chris, if our cookies were Lakers, which players they would be?
Yeah, this is Hillbilly Kobe. This is Austin Reeves. Your old man, Braun.
Oh.
And
Oh, that's a good, yeah.
not to be racist, but we got Rui Hachimura over here. Our third and final cookie, Jen, you brought in your own recipe for a White Lotus cookie. I assume this is the cookie they serve to rich white people at luxury resorts on islands.
Yeah, where nobody dies.
Where nobody
Just kidding, you'll die from the cookie.
dies. What's up? What is a White Lotus cookie? How did you make it? Tell us all about it.
Okay, so I've been thinking about doing a macadamia white chocolate cookie for a while, but since everything we do at the bakery is vegan, the white chocolate we use has cashews in it, and I'm really worried about hidden nuts. So I'm like, if there's going to be cashew in the chocolate, there has to be cashew in the cookie so people know. Like, I don't like hidden nuts. They freak me out.
So sorry. Like I let all the banging and balls go.
Hidden nuts.
I couldn't get
You
hidden
couldn't
nuts
return the
without-
favor?
I was losing it. I'm
You
losing it.
couldn't return the favor.
Go ahead. Hidden nut cookies.
I don't like it. They freak me out. I don't want anyone to have
An allergic reaction.
an allergic reaction. So I was like, okay, we'll just put cashews in it and we'll put macadamias in it. And if I could have gone back and done it, I would have done Malden on top. But while I was in the kitchen toiling and spiraling about today, I was like, I mean, good thing I didn't know you were on here. It would have just spiraled. But
Good thing she didn't realize who you were until she was sitting next to you and I said your name and who you were again when she lost her mind.
But I was like, I know Nicole Rucker is going to put Malden on her cookie. So I don't want to put Malden on my cookie. And then I was like, what?
We called you the
I would
Malden
like
Queen
to know.
behind your back.
First of all,
Say your piece.
I would like to correct that.
Call you the
in-
Maldenator.
that is heresy. I'm actually quite anti frivolous salting
Mhm.
and have come out against it on the internet.
Okay, it's
Actions
interesting
speak
that you
louder
did
than words,
that.
Nicole. Look at all that
Well,
salt
I
on
know
there.
Jacques Torres' recipe faithfully, and he says put the salt on. I like salt in the dough. I'm not a frivolous salt bae.
I felt like I remember you saying that sometime on social media.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember if you were pro or anti, so I just did not do it at all.
Live in fear.
Yeah.
That's the
Live
way.
in fear and
Yes.
second guess. That's my hell I live
So
in.
no
Great.
salt. Instead, you went.
I did a passion fruit icing because I was like, ooh, macadamia is cashew sweet. Like it needs something else. And then, that's kind of where the wheels fell off because I don't really love my cookie that much.
What?
But it's like, that's like the thing. It's like, I never really like anything that I make.
I hear that.
Well,
know?
okay. So the cookie is a vegan cookie. What kind of oil do you use? What kind of fat is the fat
Oh,
here?
rice bran, the
Rice
most
bran.
neutral of all oils.
Okay.
Oh,
Truly neutral.
not like a vegan butter.
No.
Wow.
Your flour is a Galahad blend.
Yes.
What is that? Can you
Or it's
explain?
just Sir Galahad. It's the King Arthur AP.
Okay. So what else do we have going on here? We have sort of macadamia nuts.
Yeah, macadamia nuts, cashews. I like to toast all the nuts that go into cookies before and then add in lightly toasted
Just I'm here for it. I'm listening.
and then add in the lightly toasted nuts. Because I feel like in the oven, if they're in the center, they stay raw.
Yeah,
You know?
they're soft.
Yeah, they're soft. So I like to, especially these like cashews and macadamias have a lot of fat content in them. So I toast them separately, add them in white sugar, brown sugar, water, salt, baking powder, baking soda. I think that's kind of it.
Now let's get to the heart of it here. You didn't really like them.
Yeah.
What's up? Give us your. I mean, you know.
They're good.
Let's.
I think-
Are you being just a little hard on yourself? Why didn't you? What is it like specifically you don't like? Flavor, texture? What's the problem?
I wish I did Malden on top and I didn't second guess myself. That's all I have to say.
You intimidated it out of her.
Hey,
Interesting.
listen, I was not in the kitchen. I have no part in that.
I thought the texture of these cookies, again, like all three of these, the texture is amazing, and I think it is to some extent the fact that I feel overexposed on these big fat cakey cookies, and there are too many of the ultra thin sort of like the equivalent of like a smash burger. Like that's what those super
Totally
thin
right.
cookies are.
Yeah.
I think there's too many of them. All of these hit that like crispy, chewy, impossible, delicious texture. I appreciate it. Again, this is the most Asian comment. Not too sweet.
Not too sweet.
I will say this. I ate their two cookies first, the two chocolate chips first, and then I ate yours, which created something. Like I took a bite of your cookie and I like spun out. I was like, I don't know what I'm tasting. I have no idea what I was eating, or it was just like such like a unusual and delicious thing. I think maybe I got like 2 macadamia nuts in my first bite, and so I was just like, what the hell's happening here? Like, what is this flavor?
Am I on a tropical getaway?
Am I on a tropical getaway?
Yeah.
The toasting of the macadamia, so good. Like I agree. Like the texture of the cookie, the nuts was great. Here's what my only other criticism that prevented me from being on a tropical getaway. I am deeply in love with passion fruit. We have a not platonic, very, very intense relationship. And I wanted so much more of it. I wanted just passion fruit all over. But this was a total one-of-a-kind cookie, which I see here, Hrishi agrees. Original! ! Great texture between the dough and the nuts. Love the chewy with the crunch, perfectly baked. You don't like passion fruit.
I have no passion for passion fruit.
Could you tell it was passion fruit?
Unfortunately, I already knew. I had heard that it was passion fruit. So I was prepared to be like, but I liked it a lot more than I would have guessed, given that my predilection is anti-passion fruit.
You thought it was a tiny bit too sweet, opposite of me. You and I do not see eye to eye on this cookie at all.
No.
But you didn't feel that strongly about that.
No, that's me trying to come up with a criticism. I was just making things up.
I would say this cookie is too sweet for me, but I think white chocolate macadamia nut cookies have to be sweet. So I'm like, this is a little bit too sweet for my tasting, but that's kind of what,
The category.
the category is.
And I mean, and Hrishi, you say this like much better and more balanced than other white chocolate macadamia cookies. I agree. Like that is a white chocolate macadamia cookie is like so sweet, kind of one note, and this was not. Nicole found these to be beautiful.
Beautiful.
Good macadamia flavor.
Thank you.
A little heart next to the word drizzle.
I like the drizzle.
I think she likes the drizzle. You couldn't place the fruity flavor.
No, I could not. And then I licked the side of the cookie and just ate the glaze and realized it was passion fruit.
That's why I was like more.
Yeah, more would be great.
More.
Like a completely coated surface of glaze would have been awesome for everyone except
Except for Hrishi.
yes.
Anti-passion fruit, that would have just driven you crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've gone through all 3 of our cookie swap recipes here. I'm going to go back now and give each of our club members a chance to have a closing statement. Stand up for your cookie as the one. So, Nicole, let's go to you first.
Yeah.
You opened this discussion. It's your first cookie swap. It truly is for all 3 of you. It would be you've been invited to
First
a
cookie
cookie
swap.
swap party, not this fake one we have staged here in this podcast. Your friends, your close friends are like, Nicole, I'm so sorry. We've been having this cookie swap for years. We just never
You've not been
invited you.
invited.
We were intimidated.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason.
We always
Why-
have it on Saturday morning, so you can never come.
It's always Saturday mornings. Totally.
Story of my life.
Why should you or anybody going to this theoretical cookie swap make Jacques Torres chocolate chip cookies?
You shouldn't.
And there we have it. Moving on to why not?
Okay. I did not realize it was cookie swap episode. It might have been reading comprehension issues, but I don't think you should bring chocolate chip cookies to a cookie swap. I think you should bring out something a little bit more fanciful. And, you know, like maybe if it was a crunchy shortbread chocolate chip cookie, I would say bring that. But that being said, this is the ultimate chocolate chip cookie recipe that changed the game. And so you should make this if you want to impress your friends in that way, and then bore them to absolute death talking about the history of the Jacques Torres life-changing chocolate. You could get bona. It's a great conversation starter. And it spans the whole breadth of the internet, which is wonderful because we get to talk about pre-viral recipes. I mean, it could be its own show. That's this cookie. So that's why you should bring this to the cookie swap. Me personally, I'm bringing something else. I'm bringing something with a drizzle, to be honest.
I mean, not a ringing endorsement, but
It's a very good cookie. But for a cookie swap for like a holiday thing, that's not a holiday cookie, a chocolate chip cookie.
Fair.
It's not a holiday cookie.
fair. You want a little something a little more festive, a little more.
Well, holiday cookies should be something that like can
This is
be
the holiday.
good.
No, we're breaking out
You
of the
said
holiday
holiday.
mold. We're cookie swap is a year round thing now.
Oh.
We're having a spring cookie swap.
Okay, take it back. Then yeah, bring it.
Strong words from Nicole Rucker. Hrishi, I'm going to a cookie swap. I'm looking for a cookie recipe. Why should I make your take on the brown butter chocolate chip cookie with the addition of coconuts and pecans?
So I dressed for the job that I want to have. Or what's when they say like give somebody the gift that you want to receive or something like that. Like
Okay.
this for me, I'm really happy with how these turned out.
Yes.
I have to say, I'm really happy that the Jacques Torres cookie is here for me to sort of recognize the progress that I've made in my own life. Because certainly this cookie would not exist if it were not for that cookie.
A cultural touch point of a
Jacques
cookie.
walked so you could absolutely run
Exactly.
the court.
This is what I want from a cookie because I think when I first encountered the Jacques Torres cookie, it like I said, blew my mind, life-changing, but that was many years ago. And I'm like ready to progress. And I think that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants for sure. But I think that like, this is really nice. I want more than just, now that sort of revolutionary cookie has kind of become standard.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, it is the platonic ideal of like a great cafe chocolate chip cookie. But this is a chance, to do something special and extra.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I want this cookie. And I just want to bring people what the thing is. The only way I can recommend something to other people is if I love it myself. So I'm bringing this cookie to the cookie swap because I don't care if anybody else likes it. I'm going to sit there and eat all of them.
I like it. I like it a lot. Jen, you've been invited to a cookie swap. I've been invited to a cookie swap. Our listeners have been invited to a cookie swap, and they are just scouring through the billion recipes out there. Why should they make the White Lotus cookie?
It's on a Monday night, Jen. It's okay.
You can go. You'll be there. You're invited.
Oh, okay. A party I can go to. Yay. Why should they make the White Lotus? Okay. Despite it having two different nuts, cashews and macadamias, it is actually a very allergen-friendly cookie. It has no eggs and no dairy, and that's why you should bring it.
She's really appealing to the allergy.
If you share Jennifer Yee's
Fear of allergies.
I guess like paralyzing fear of killing somebody who has a hidden allergy, this is the cookie for you.
Yet she needed a White Lotus after a show where someone dies every season.
Yes.
Okay. So that is all 3 of the cases for these cookies. I am now going to deliberate with the producers, gather the taste scores, gather their scores, come back here and announce a winning cookie for the cookie swap after this. Okay, we are back. Before I can award a winner of this cookie swap, which is a thing, I think, really. Most of the time we do these episodes and I'm like, there's no winners in a
I do
Easter
specifically listen to a previous episode and you specifically said there's no winner.
Well, there's a winner. When you go to a cookie swap, there's always a winner. But before we can do that, I'm going to give you your to-go orders, your 3 takeaways for a great cookie swap recipe. First, I do think, as you guys have been talking about at the end here, a great cookie swap cookie says something either about you, Hrishi. Like if people ate this cookie at a cookie swap, they'd be like, "That's so Hrishi."
Yeah. I wore a jacket to try and match my cookies.
Oh, it does.
You literally dressed for the job you wanted.
Yeah.
Or it says something in general, like the Jacques Torres cookie, to Nicole's point that you can talk endlessly about
Legacy.
this cookie. I do think we can't over-index on the ease with which you can produce these things. Do not make the sort of flooded, iced sugar cookie. It will kill you. It will destroy you. And there is something to be said for whether a cookie can be transported, can be added to a box with a bunch of other cookies. Can it play nicely in this box without sprinkling its powdered sugar all over everything? So now, with all of that in mind, we have calculated. Now, with all of that in mind, we have tabulated the deliciousness scores. Each of you scored your fellow competitors' cookies on a scale of 1 to 5.0. We took those scores, we averaged them out to give a deliciousness score. The producers in the booth over there are 3 of them. They're all amateur, home-cooked Gen Z folk, and they have all given me a score. They are tough graders, by the way.
Yeah,
they're just like, no one's ever tough on them, but they're very tough on us.
Wow.
Not me. Grade Inflation Central over here.
They have given a score based on which cookie, just from your descriptions, they might be most interested in making themselves if they ever were to make a cookie for themselves. And finally, I have added my own score for thoughtfulness and creativity with which you all approach the task of making a cookie swap recipe. So, in terms of deliciousness, this is your own ratings. You guys did this, only you, not me, not these Gen Z guys. The winner for deliciousness is Nicole Rucker's Jacques Torres. Excuse me, Jacques Torres's chocolate chip cookie, as made by the Malden Queen herself. The thoughtfulness score, the creativity and thought that went into the approach for this recipe, the winner for this episode is Hrishi's take on the brown butter chocolate chip cookie. I thought the fact that you dressed to match your cookie and the fact that you put a lot into like why this cookie, what it would say about you. I thought that was great. And the producers, the cookie that they were most likely to tackle for themselves, this was a very tight score here, but the winner in that category is also Jacques Torres's, AKA Nicole Rucker's chocolate chip cookie. So calculating all these scores together, we have arrived with a final winning score of 13.03. We went to the 100th place.
Wow.
Is
specific.
That's the new math.
Nicole Rucker.
Oh.
2 times.
Wow.
You got anything to say for yourself? You got anybody to thank?
I'd like to start in early 1800s.
No. You're not allowed to go any further back than last week.
I'd like to go back to the Dutch word for little cakes. Cookie.
When chocolate was first discovered.
And then the Mayans ground it up, made a paste.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You not only get the bragging rights, you are also taking home a one-of-a-kind prize.
Oh, okay.
This season, our first season, we begin with prizes, and we are just making them all. So this is a custom-made, one-of-a-kind recipe club
I love
cookie
it.
jar.
It's sweet.
I wish we made more so we could sell these things, but there's
Oh my God,
only
it's
one.
so cool.
And it is all yours. You can fill that up with cookies. Hrishi
Cookie
and Jen, you're not
factory.
leaving empty-handed, of course. Thanks to Recipe Club's official cookware sponsor, Meyer, you are each going to be taking home a piece of IO collection nonstick cookware.
Thank you.
This is the stuff we use at our studios, the
Thank
stuff we
you.
use
For
at
your
home.
browning of butter.
Yeah, I need this.
I was just going to say this is totally
sorry.
useless for anything for these cookies, but you reminded me of the brown butter. Look at that.
browning
You
of
can
butter.
actually use this one. Fantastic. Thank you to Nicole, Jen, and Hrishi for joining us on this episode, this inaugural cookie swap for all three of you.
Wow.
Thanks to everybody for listening and watching. Recipe Club is brought to you by Major Domo Media and The Ringer. Visit majordomo.com where you're going to find all of these recipes. You can join the Discord and send in your own recipes too, people. Did you guys know that? Maybe you didn't. Rate our podcast 5 stars, however you do that, and we will see you next time.